Well, one more dynamic week ahead. When I was looking at the chart, we'll go to the chart real quick here today. The thing that I noticed, and this is Monday, the 20th. There's a couple things going on, like Martin Luther King Jr. Day, amongst other things. But on this day, notice here, it is 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun is at 0 degrees, 50 minutes of Aquarius. Remember, I said that on Sunday, which is today, while I'm actually speaking, the sun went into Aquarius. We're 10 minutes away from 1 degree up Aquarius, which is where Pluto is waiting for the sun. Now, just for a little kicks and giggles, the sun represents, some level of masculine authority. One of the factors that often is used as an explanation for the sun in any chart is it is the king or the queen. We'll leave it at the king for this particular consideration. And the king, in this case, is just about to bump into Pluto. Now, Pluto's function, this will be at 1 degree Aquarius. Pluto's function is to essentially expose, if you will, what has been hidden. And as I was considering, what to say about this at the very, as I was putting together my thoughts so that I could, keep you all entertained. The phrase came to me out of an old fairy tale. It says, "The king has no clothes." Now, where have we heard that before? Well, the king, whoever the king happens to be, authority at this particular moment is being engaged with something that wants to demonstrate in some fashion the exposure of things that have been hidden. So authority is basically coming upon a energy signature that says, what do you think is going on here? And this is in Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian. So humanity, what has been exposed from the humanity's ability to be able to see, all that stuff that's going on behind the scenes, all the stuff that, authority may not really care to have us being aware of. So anyway, on this day, that's one of the main energies that kind of brings this week into focus. And on this day, let's look real quick, Mercury still out of bounds, as is Mars being in the long thing. I think this might be the next to the last day, or maybe Mercury's out of bounds for a few more days. And Mercury's, inching its way up there on the Aquarian zone. But it's also inching its way toward an exact opposition, which will happen this week, between the other out of bounds planet, Mars. Well, just for extra kicks and giggles, the moon, by the way, will also go out of bounds this week, but not until the 24th. So that's like Friday. This is something to really pay attention to. Be aware. Be very particularly aware that there are smoke screens that are being employed at this time to make sure that we aren't seeing what's really going on. But this Sun conjunct Pluto initiating this week at the same time as the inauguration of our next president here in the United States, you know, stay on your toes. I mean, he's been warning us all along that he's going to apply his version of what is appropriate to what is coming down the pike, so to speak. Be keenly aware that things are potentially going to be exposed beginning on Monday. That, perhaps there are some in the higher echelons of control may not want us to be aware of. So, to spin a tale that, is there to distract us, oh, yeah, absolutely a possibility. But we are humanity, and we are paying attention to make sure that that which gets spun out doesn't, grab a hold of the helm's position as we go into this next experience of the life dance. On this week as well, we go to Tuesday, a Mars day, Mars out of bounds. It's the last quarter moon, the waning quarter moon. Crisis in consciousness. Do you see perhaps potentially that as we go into this week, there are things that, could fit into that crisis in consciousness perspective? I know for some of us, this is the case. Should really be for all of us to pay attention right now as to what is transpiring, who is in charge, and what is it that they want us to see versus what it is that is there for those with, the vision capabilities to be able to perceive. Anyway, that's the last quarter moon coming, and it'll be at that 1 degree of Aquarius. Just for gigs, let's take a look at and see what this, actually it's the 2nd degree of Aquarius, has to say from the Sabian symbol point of view. An unexpected thunderstorm. I can't imagine what that could be. And the keynote, the need to develop the inner security which will enable us to meet unexpected crises. Are you staying on your toes? An interesting connection can be made between the symbols for Taurus 1 and 2 degrees, a clear mountain stream, and an electrical storm. Those are what those two images sim. And those for Aquarius 1 and 2, 270 degrees apart, a waning square. There's that waning square again. In terms of a cycle of relationship, such as the lunation cycle. In the first case, we deal with energies or activities that can be related to natural development of the individual. But here we are primarily concerned with social, collective, there's the Aquarian side, processes and the function of the individual within them. The symbol itself, an unexpected thunderstorm, can be given a very positive meaning in an arid environment, but the emphasis on unexpected tends to accent the sudden and dangerous character of the event. Such a thunderstorm in a region of dry hills can cause a devastating flood. At any rate, it refers to an event for which one is not prepared, a menace to men's work. seen as the second stage symbol. Thus, in contrast to the preceding one, the scene stresses the fact that nature may reduce to impermanence the seemingly most permanent endeavors and constructive activities of man. Under a downpour of rain, a Bodhi brick can return to mud. All human institutions and their achievements can be washed away, even in their day of great glory. Dust you were, and dust you must become. This is the nature's challenge. I found when I looked that up, I went, well, this is kind of intriguing, interesting, and something to, really keep to the fore of consciousness as we go into ostensibly a new set of parameters that is laying ahead of us from the political standpoint here in the United States. As we know, absolutely know, that's an Aquarius thing, I know, that things need to change. How they change, though, I think we need to keep our finger on the pulse of this change capacity so that the change isn't back into something that we've already been through before, but the potential for a new awakening, an Aquarian kind of awakening, into a collective consciousness that looks out for one another rather than casts disdain and derision upon one another, trying to make sure that we're not really paying attention to what's going on. Anyway, that's our Monday, Tuesday dance for this week. On Thursday, we have this opposition between out of bounds Mercury and out of bounds Mars. Mars is going backwards. It's going to change to 22 degrees the next day. Mercury's going forward. It's going to change to 23 degrees the next day. So these two change sides of that opposition in the directions that they are moving on this Jupiter Thursday day. And these two planets out of bounds are Mercury, our thinking capacity, and Mars, that driven kind of energy that makes us do things, wants us to do things. Working from a zone that is not really going out of its way to pay attention to what rules and regulations say needs to transpire. No, that's not how out of bounds works. The out of bounds reality says, what else is there? The way things have been going and stuff is really not where this, our thought processes and our driven kind of energy of Mars are aimed at. They're saying, what else might there be as an option to accomplish right now? I'm thinking that there's something else that has not been, perhaps given enough air, enough opportunity for us to be able to tune into it. And the Mars, that driven energy opposed to it from Cancer, is saying, yeah, let's investigate that a little bit more thoroughly. Okay, and then the weekend comes along. This is just going to be a short thing that I'm doing for this week because this is all the time that I have. On the 25th, Saturday, we have, actually, if I go back to the 24th, there's a unique configuration that's happening here. We have Mercury out of bounds, sextile to Venus, sextile to Uranus, sextile to Mars. We can kind of see a sextile bowl here that is underway with two trines crossing the bowl, Trines and sextiles, they're aspects that say, we're going to give you a tailwind, if you will, of energy to play with here so that you can tie together the different planetary signatures that are at work. And what do we have? We have an out of bounds Mercury. We're thinking out of the box. We have Venus in Pisces, exalted in Pisces, saying, I need to, in some fashion, be in touch with others who have a deeper and more profound perspective of what it really means to come together at a spiritual level, potentially. Uranus says, oh, by the way, Uranus and Taurus, while I'm playing in this particular sandbox, I may knock down a few sandcastles, as a sort of a potential disruptive energy that might be in play here. After all, and it's not something that you can see coming because it's Uranus. It's unexpected. And the last planet, Mars, out of bounds, in that sextile with Uranus. And so Mars is probably egging Uranus along to say, are there any other castles that need to be knocked down? Well, see this as you will, but perhaps there are some sandcastles that are being attempted to be constructed right now that may need a little pressure pattern applied to them so that they don't get too carried away with stuff that isn't real enough. That's all I got for this week. Just a short one, keep you entertained. Make sure you don't become too sedentary, too affixed in the way that you think things are going for yourself or for any of us. After all, we're in the zone of Aquarius. Aquarius is a genius, humanitarian, the inventors of the zodiac, freedom fighters, reformers, scientists, and sages. Are you ready to live into that? Because that's what's on the table for us now. Trying to awaken a new perspective for us to live into. Welcome to Aquarius. That's all I got for this week.